Right, so I haven't videoed much of the actual assembly of this thing because a lot of it has been trial and error, and everything's just tacked up at the moment. So those little bricks mount the fender, sorry, the mud guard. Mud slot goes there, that's 4 bolts on the mud guard. Then I've made these little pieces, and everything's just tacked up, as you can see. So I'll have bolts here and here for that, and at the back the same thing, bolt here and here. I do actually have to trim them off because that is the back of my tray. It's just when buying the 100x50, I've got them cut into 2 metre lengths, and the tray's only, I think it's 1800. I haven't actually had to cut anything off and make any major adjustments yet, which is really good, just because I've been so careful, as in like measure and be 100% sure before I actually cut something. We took it over to the car yesterday and put it up just to figure out how high it needs to be mounted. So these pieces of 100x50 are going to be the runners, as in turn them that way, and we decided they're going to sit along the chassis, but no, 150mm up. So we had 3 pieces of 50x50, 3 pieces of 50x50 stacked up here, and it was sitting at like the right height that I want it to be. So the next thing I have to figure out how to do is how to mount it. So these are the fuel tank mounts, and yeah, don't worry, they're gonna get resprayed. It's all just, that was just spray canned, just for engineering purposes. What I'm gonna do is get, this is 3mm, it's just an old scrap piece just to test it, but put that vertical, pretty much how this is done. Have it in there like that, plate the bottom of it so it can be bolted down, so then I'll just have this little entry hole right here to put the bolt in and access with like a ratchet or something. I'll bring it up, then bring it across above the fuel tank mount, and the same thing down on the other side over there. And then the runners will weld on top of them. So then for the back here, I'm going to cut about there, those body mounts, because the toolbox runs in and hits that anyway. And then from there, I'm going to bring 6mm plate upwards, bolt it to the runner with little crush tubes, and then going to connect the 2 plates with a piece of 50x50 that's 3mm thick, just for structure so it can't wobble side to side. I'm not actually welding on the chassis when I cut. If I cut the mounts there and weld them, I'm not actually welding on the chassis, so that's fine. To go and weld those up a little bit more, test it, just see how everything's fitting, because I think it's probably time to put the mud guards on and see how they fit. So the thing I'm doing right now is actually just making the back, and I'll just get this piece of paper. So it is a little bit it's a bit chunked in. The idea is to have bigger hoops where the lights go, just to cover how far the box sticks up, and then those bigger hoops come in at an angle straight across, just enough for the number plate and the light, and then the same on the other side. So right now I've just got these, and the way you make that little turn is you've got to get all these cuts have to be at 22.5 degrees, because 4 by 22.5, well 2 by 22.5 is 45, and 2 45s are 90, and that'll give you that 90-degree turn. And then to weld it, well, I've just tacked it, but I just put it in the tray where I know that all those internal angles are definitely 90 degrees. So, and then I put them all together, made sure everything was level, flat, put the spirit level on it, all that sort of thing. Tack them up, put it over there, make sure it was straight, like it wasn't off to one side or something. And then what I'm doing now is that line, right, that internal angle there is 30 degrees. So I'm cutting that I'm gonna flip this bit over and it will go at an angle back in. So when it comes along, it should be angled back to about here. And that'll give me that same sort of thing I had on the drawing. Like those sort of things. And then pretty much I'll have a bar across there. That'll contain the number plate and then another angle and a hoop for that side. So this is just obviously the frame, but I haven't started the headboard, which is gonna take a while because that's a lot of angles, and I'm gonna try and make it really follow the body lines. Like right now, this is obviously upside down with the box there. But yeah, that headboard, I've gotta take it over to do a lot of work with the car. These bits of 33 is the outside diameter, 25 NB, I think. That will be like, sort of like side rails. I know this is the bottom, but imagine this was the top. Pretty much it's gonna come from the headboard to be here. It'll just come all along here and then 45-degree angle, taper down there. That'll be like a sort of, it'll make the side look a bit beefier, give me a tie-down rail. Yeah, all that sort of thing. Just tacking everything. I'm not game to weld anything until this is literally sitting on the car and I know that everything fits perfectly and all that sort of stuff. Like 2 tacks on every piece of 50x50 that I'm doing. Like you can see consistent 2, 2, 2, 2. It just gives it that, you know, bit of stability, but still easy to cut out and re-weld. But after like a million times, like checking, measuring the car, coming back, all sorts of things, I'm finally, happy with how the boxes and mudguards are fitting. Now I've just got to worry about this back piece, and then probably tomorrow I'm gonna get started on that headboard. So I've actually just finished up this rear sort of head. This will just run over to the car real quick. I had it sitting on there the other day and put the mudguard up here, and it lines up, like when you look along it, the mudguard lines up with the front. So that's how I decided 150mm off the chassis is where to put that first sort of runner. And then when you put the runner on there, then you can get the measurements from front and back. So it's 260 up, and I'll use the same bolts that I've used here. Well, the bolts are really just holding stuff like on, and you didn't have to cut me off. They're just really there to stop side to side movement. Then we come to the back. I've got some 6mm plate, which I'm just cutting back over there, that will sit, I think it's 435mm from the bottom of the cab mount all the way up to when I had the runner on the stack there. So this plate will come up all the way up, and then I'll put bolts in it, and those bolts will go into the runner back here. And I'll put little crush tubes in the runner so it's not pulling on like each side. It's not pulling there and there. It's just strictly pulling like just the tube. So that's just for like, so it doesn't, you know, squeeze in that or shear the sort of blow holes in this sort of thing, because these are only 2mm. And yeah, it's pretty strong considering it's 100x50, but it's not, you know, it's not the sort of thing where you want to be going down a gravel road and this tray starts bloody wobbling because it's blown a hole through there just by wiggling from time to time. So those 2 plates will come up from the cab mounts, both sides, and then I'll have a piece of 3mm 50x50 connecting them. And that's just for sideways sort of support. I do not intend on taking off or changing this tray for like a long time, because I am trying to I'm aiming to make it nice. It's not just like an alloy tray from like a Hilux or an Avara or something that I'm just making body mounts to suit. Oh, you'll see on the headboard, I'm going to try and make that sort of follow the body lines as much as possible, using the same sort of angles and that sort of thing that I used there. So yeah, right now I'm just cutting that. That's 435mm. I'm just cutting these 2 bits of plate. Yeah, I'm not confident to weld anything until I've got these mounts sorted. It's sitting on the runners, everything fits, and I'll actually have to sort of push the boxes up like into them, put the mud guards on, just make sure everything fits. The other thing is, I didn't mention, so the reason I have to cut those body mounts at the back is because those boxes, and it is frustrating, but it's about like, I think about 50mm. That's like an overlap, so you can't put like, I couldn't put the box in there to check how it fit up there, because yeah, it overlaps on the cab mount by about 50mm. This little welder, tell you what, like going from using the big one at the workshop to using that little thing, I wish that I'd used that little thing like the whole time, because welding like 2mm thick bar, or 2mm thick pipe all the way around to like 0.6 or 1mm or something gal body panel, and yeah, those doors are gal, and I hated it because it was just white smoke and it welded like crap and all that sort of thing. If I'd used that little one, like, it would have been so much easier. I don't know, I think it's just got to do with the fact that this has thinner wire, more accurate sort of up-to-date settings. Like the one we have at the workshop, that bigger SIG weld is like anywhere between 10 and 20 years old, I think. Like, yeah, this just goes to show how the new technology is sometimes good, I suppose. But anyways, get back into it. I will catch you when I've got these sort of mounted, because this should take a while. I'm not expecting to get this first time. I did hear some thunder. It's probably not a good idea to stand right next to this big lightning beacon. But look, the headboard's done. Rightio, so I've just got these 2 bits of plate, like I was saying before. I cut the cab mounts, they're here. It took a little bit of sort of grinding and polishing just to get them absolutely flat. But now, that's pretty ideal there. I may have to trim a bit off there, but this side is way better. It's like perfectly flat. And all that's got to do with is just how you trim down there. And I've obviously left more material on the bottom there, so it is a bit higher, but that's easily cuttable. But here, so it will sit there, and I've marked where this cross member is going to go. So right now I'm going to go get it and put it in, and again, just tack it all up. What I still haven't done is I've got to drill big holes here and here, and then obviously on the other side. And I've also got to drill holes in the bits that go there and there. But then I should be able to technically actually sit the tray up and just put it all on and mount it up and start putting boxes underneath and just seeing how they fit. But yeah, it's like 6:30 at night. Sun just gone down. Last night I did do a little bit more. Like, I forgot some stuff on my wiring harness. So that is passenger side, brakes, parks, bloody indicator, I don't know, all of them. And then this is the driver side. So that's just because I forgot to split them in that sort of thing.
Take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you